Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. Hope you are great. Asian Americans they've really been on this for a while. Now, I am going to break it a little down for you because some of you may not know what is going on. So, there is a Asian woman who said that she always side eye each time she sees them in H-Mart, right? So some Asian ladies that are married to white men came out and they were pissed. Like, why would you not let them white people come into the market and all that? That was what started the conversation. And since then, it's really been back to back, back to back. The Gen Z are not having it like, why do you think that we do not need a space for ourselves that is worthy? And then Asians ended up saying that it's only black people that can understand what is going on with them or what they are trying to do and all that, which is absolutely true. Because when you do not protect your territory, go and ask what happened in some prosperous black communities and all that. That already will make you understand that you need to protect what you have. Also, culture appropriation. I love the fact that black people are ready to call you out from now to tomorrow when you mess up. Why? Because if it is from allowing them bread that you know what is going on, one day they will come out with full Bantu and all that, tell you that they are black people. You and I know that braids were not fancy, not until black people made it fancy, and now everybody wants to do it and colonize it. Let's get into this video.
This whole white people in H-Mart and Asian places is the dumbest fucking bullshit I've ever seen in my life. This Asian creator made a video about how whenever she sees white people in Asian places, her guard is up. She's just basically saying we can't trust the whites. These three Asian creators and a bunch of other pro-white motherfuckers not understanding the nuance behind her video, coming in criticizing her and shit, saying we should include all people. You misunderstood her video as if you're not Asian, stay away from Asian places. That's not what she's saying. You did the same thing, and I don't even know where to start with you. What the fuck do you mean you linger around white people? I'm only gonna talk about this one time, unfiltered, no tiptoeing around shit. Pro-white Asians. You do not understand the full evilness that is clan members. We Asians do not experience the same level of racism as black people, Hispanic people, or Middle Eastern people. Because hello? Colorism? Since you fucking dickwads can only understand her words on a surface level, I'm gonna spell it out for you. Whites only participate in other people's culture when it's convenient for them. They only participate in other people's culture because it's trendy. They only participate in other people's culture so they can colonize it for themselves. Just like African Americans and Native Americans, she understands this fully. When she says that she's annoyed whenever she sees a white person around Asian places, she's not being racist nor prejudiced. She's just being careful and warning you guys about culture vultures. When that parasite chapaguri shit was trending, all I see is crackers in Asian markets. Not because they want to learn about our culture, but because that shit was fucking trending, idiots! Do you think they went to Vietnam twice to share culture? Do you think they went to Japan in 1852 to share culture? Bradley, are you suggesting we go back to segregation? No. What are you, a fucking idiot? I'm not suggesting that. The whites have a problem with sharing culture whenever it's fucking convenient for them, so go solve that and then contact us later. Well, hang on, Bradley. Culture is meant to be shared. Yeah, amongst allies. For the last time, just because they like anime and California rolls doesn't mean they see you as a person, bitch. Wake the fuck up.
Asian TikTok, you need to get there quick. I mean, put on your shoes and run, ho. Because the girls are tussling. It is the whitewash Asians versus the pro-black Asians. And it is getting juicy. One Asian put a post up about how she clutches her pearls when she see a white person walking H-Mart. And the white Asians came out and said, don't do that. White people deserve to be in our mix too. And the pro-black Asians said, y'all need to shut the fuck up. Because what the fuck are y'all talking about? Do y'all see what black people go through? And then another Asian said, y'all need to stop being so racist towards black folks because they not coming up and they not sticking up for us right now. And they are right. We are minding our black ass business. And also, the Asians are pissed off with white folks too about them damn jade bracelets. They said y'all done shot the fucking prices up and then y'all whitewashed them calling them fucking Buddha bracelets. Why do y'all call them Buddha bracelets? Y'all don't even like Buddha. And you know what? It's about time the No Limit Soldier Asians get on them whitewash Asians. Because they the reasons we lost affirmative action. When it comes to voting, hell, we know how most of them vote too. What, y'all thought I wasn't going to bring that up? But carry on.
I was talking to a few friends about the H-Mart scandal that's been going on TikTok. So basically, if you don't know already, there was a white person who went into H-Mart and some Asian person was giving them the side eye because they're like, I don't know if you should be here. What I've gathered from talking with my friends about this is it all comes down to experience and what you kind of grew up with. I grew up in a very white community where, you know, people made fun of my lunches, people made fun of my eye shape or me wearing glasses. And these microaggressions were just something I took because that was what I felt like was normal growing up in a white community. This is my friends who grew up in very Asian communities. They couldn't see anything that was wrong with a white person wanting to try their culture. I think this topic is super sticky because it really depends on your experiences and how you've made peace with how you've been treated and if you're willing to give grace to other people so that either they don't go through the same thing or you're not willing to give grace because of how you've been shaped by this profound experience. And I'm just really intrigued if your childhood experiences have shaped your perspective on how you think of this H-Mart scenario, and I'd love to hear. I was talking to a few friends about the H-Mart scandal that's been going on TikTok. So basically, if you don't know already, there was a white person who went into H-Mart and some Asian person was giving them the side eye because they're like, I don't know if you should be here. What I've gathered from talking with my friends about this is it all comes down to experience and what you kind of grew up with. I grew up in a very white community where, you know, people made fun of my lunches, people made fun of my eye shape or me wearing glasses. And these microaggressions were just something I took because that was what I felt like was normal growing up in a white community. This is my friends who grew up in very Asian communities. They couldn't see anything that was wrong with a white person wanting to try their culture. I think this topic is super sticky because it really depends on your experiences and how you've made peace with how you've been treated and if you're willing to give grace to other people so that either they don't go through the same thing or you're not willing to give grace because of how you've been shaped by this profound experience. And I'm just really intrigued if your childhood experiences have shaped your perspective on how you think of this H-Mart scenario, and I'd love to hear more.
Of course I'm going to side-eye white people for shopping at H-Mart or any other Asian grocery store. I'm Korean. Judging people is our favorite pastime. Just kidding. The real reason why I judge white people for shopping at H-Mart or Asian grocery stores is, for one, this is an incredibly newer phenomenon, right? This sort of like trend of white people shopping at Asian grocery stores. For most of my life, I would say up until the last decade, maybe even less than that, for most of my life, I rarely saw any white people shopping at H-Mart. I rarely saw any white people shopping at Asian grocery stores, right? I would see maybe one a month. And it makes sense because these spaces were never curated to cater to white people. So take, for example, packaged foods. Most of the packaged foods that you see in Asian grocery stores are imports. And so for a very long time, the only instructions that were on those foods for their preparation were in Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Thai, what have you. It wasn't until very recently that we've seen like English translations on how to prepare the food on the package. And the same is true for like beauty products, because you can go into H-Mart and get like Korean beauty products. A lot of the instructions for these beauty products are written in Korean. It's only in the past like decade that I've seen like labels that are printed off with like English in them, and the English is like obviously like Google translated, and it's kind of like chopped. The bottom line is these spaces were created by Asian people for Asian people. And the other reason why white people will get a side eye is because of how Asian culture, specifically Asian food, is treated in the West. There's something incredibly transactional about the relationship between whiteness and Asian culture. If something does not have a perceived value to whiteness, it is mocked, denigrated. People comment on children's stinky lunches. Let's take something like kimchi, for example. When it doesn't have any perceived value to whiteness, it's stinky, it's gross, yada, yada, yada. But as soon as people learn about, oh, it's probiotic, it's going to make me skinny, white people get on that shit very, very quickly. Kimchi has a lot of intimate meaning for Koreans. We offer it as a ceremonial food to ancestors during celebrations like Chuseok. It represents Korean ingenuity and resilience, being able to develop a food that can survive harsh winters. Not a single one of us thought about probiotic benefits the first time we had kimchi, okay? And all of us have a core memory surrounding kimchi. It's the lifeblood of Korea. Or let's take, for example, Chinese fast food, okay? Chinese food in the US is treated with a lot of caution and trepidation because of MSG. But as soon as white operated chain stores like Panda Express, and I know Panda Express is owned by Chinese people, but most of those facilities are operated by white people, okay? As soon as those chain restaurants open, white people flood the gates and they leave locally owned restaurants to rot. You think we don't know that 1 + 1 = 2? You think we don't see the pattern? You know that saying, you receive what you get? Yeah, I'm going to treat white people with the same amount of trepidation when they enter into a space that has been curated for Asian people. Because what are you doing here? What are your motives? What are you trying to make transactional? And if your motives are entirely pure, and if you have a genuine like curiosity about Asian culture, Asian food, that's fine. My side eyes shouldn't bother you then. Going into a space that was not made for you and expecting people to cater to you is crazy talk. Crazy, 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 crazy.
But white people are not automatically entitled to access to non-white spaces. That includes the food, the culture, the trends, the hair, the clothes, the music. They are not entitled. We do not have to automatically grant them access. Our traditions, our music, our food, our words are not an open source for white consumption. All y'all have to do is look at the history of non-white cultures and how they've been stolen and sanitized, watered down, rebranded with white faces, and then sold as trendy or hot or aesthetic or cute. While the actual people do these things that have been in our culture and families to do for generations, we are demonized for it. We're called tacky, loud, ghetto, all of the things. That's literally not a coincidence. It's extraction. It's removing the trend they want to exploit and profit off of away from the black or brown culture that it stems from. So they don't have to acknowledge it, nor look at the fact that they don't have enough creativity within themselves to not steal from other cultures, because whiteness took their cultures away. So let's get it straight. Gatekeeping is okay. It's not hate. It's preservation. Because historically, white people do not know how to be guests in non-white spaces. They cannot enter the space of black, brown, indigenous, or other POC without centering themselves, without being offensive, or without causing some level of trauma through microaggressions. So gatekeeping and protecting our cultural spaces, whether it just be a food mart or whatever the case may be, that's not rude, it's not hateful, it's not reverse racism. It's quite literally survival. So yeah, white people will get the side eye at the Asian mart or any other cultural space that's not theirs. That's kind of the point. There's a history as to why that side eye exists. Maybe they should accept it, acknowledge it, sit with the discomfort, and then maybe dig a little deeper into why that's a thing in the first place. Then do the work to make sure that it doesn't give future generations enough cause and more cause to continue feeling the same way about the same white people. We don't give the side eye for no reason. And if you're going to put yourself in a non-white space as a white person, knowing that people, whether it's Asian people, black people, brown people, indigenous people, whatever the case may be, knowing these people have traumatized experiences dealing with having to go to predominantly white schools, being chastised, demonized, made fun of for their cultural food, for their cultural clothing, songs, music, language, whatever the case is. And then you have the gall, the nerve, the caucasity to go up there and get offended because somebody side eyes you. Get over it. Sit with it. Feel uncomfortable. That's a start. Because that does not compare to the generations of oppression and othering and minimalization and erasure that non-white spaces and communities have had to deal with. And let's talk about the mixed and the Asian community commenting on this whole situation. Let's get it straight. Anti-blackness is everywhere. It is a global export. We say this all the time. And these same communities are dealing with anti-blackness in the shape of colorism within their own spaces, within their own cultures, their own ethnic groups. And they have been for generations. And it often ties to proximity to whiteness. The mixed black-white people with white family pressure, the Asian people seeking white approval, none of that's by accident. These aspects reflect and decide how people get treated, how our cultures get treated, and who gets let in and who doesn't. And recognizing this is not blaming or shaming anyone. It's simply understanding why protecting non-white spaces is necessary. So the hard truth is no, you do not owe white people access to your culture, your history, your food, your language, your clothing, your music, anything cultural, period. And if you as a white person feel uncomfortable being side-eyed, that's on you. Learn why it's happening. Sit with that discomfort and be better, do better. Our spaces, our culture, our rules. End of story.
I'm never in Asian people's business like I have been this week, but take a listen to this.
I have something to add. Why is it that every black person on my For You page who is commenting on the side-eyeing or not side-eyeing white people in H-Mart, they get it like that, like what's going on and why that's a thing. But like there's fully grown Asian creators who are like super defensive of white people for some reason.
Black people do not crave proximity to whiteness. We do not think white is ideal and black is less than. We do not put whiteness on a pedestal, and we do not try to assimilate into whiteness because black culture is one of the dominant prevalent cultures in America. What you're experiencing is black people knowing who our oppressors are, understanding the histories of our oppressors, and understanding how being in proximity of our oppressor has never benefited us ever in the history of our time here in America. Asian people have been made a model minority since your inception into this country as Chinese people. And that has been extended to Koreans, Cambodians, everyone else who's Asian by proxy. And that assimilation or that desire to be considered the model minority and to be propped up above Latinos and black people always makes Asians side with the side of the oppressor, wanting white people in their spaces, being the group that marries white men more than anyone else as a person of color. And that also includes the proximity to whiteness that you guys hold. Now, you couple that with the fact that white people in this country are obsessed with non-white cultures, but do not prop up non-white cultures because they understand that the dominant people in this country, and they can steal from Asians if they want, they can steal from Latinos if they want, they can steal from black people if they want, but less so the last, because black people have a tendency of calling white people out when they do steal our stuff and culture appropriate it, whereas you see Asians don't really make enough noise to combat what white people take from them. So seeing a white person in H-Mart, I would give the side eye all fucking day, for sure. Especially because I live in LA and I've been to H-Mart a couple of times. It's the only place I can find oxtail and a bunch of other stuff that I cook when I cook Caribbean food or food that black people want. It's the only place where things are still priced regularly. And once white people find shit, prices go through the roof because come with me as I find this new cool spot in Koreatown. We don't need that. The reason why black people can call this out is because this has been happening to us since the inception of time. People like Elvis. Elvis is a caricature of a black man. You look at all of the boy bands that they stole that entire aesthetic and persona from R&B groups. Everything that has been made pop culture in this country derives from black people at a certain point. So when you ask the question as to why there are less Asian people calling out white people in your spaces, it's because culturally you guys are more aligned to be with and care about what white people think about you versus us. And if you want to look at any of the history of this country, which you guys should take a look at our history, but we're so busy, you're so busy trying to be above us, instead of understanding that without understanding our history, you'll never truly understand your place in this country. But hey, this is a longer conversation, and I'm never in Asian people's business, but I've seen this thing pop up on my page several times this week.
I stand firm in my belief that we should treat people for, who they are, not what they are. And I think that curiosity should be met with guidance and not with shame. And I know that I'm an old bird, but I still want to learn things, and I still want to, understand things on a level that is, outside of just whatever my perspective is. And sure, my platform, I most likely will continue to talk shit about people who are, behaving like a bunch of assholes. But I have to still hold on to the belief that, we can bring people together. And I love to think that food is a great way to.
This was the apology that Sujia just issued on her page in response to the side-eyeing H-Mart gate incident. And I loosely use the term apology because I don't consider this an apology. I know she's trying to rationalize her thinking and explain nuance to people who might have missed it. And she's speaking as a mother, so I'm going to speak as a son. Because I do think that I have conversations, and I had mentioned before that this is a generational issue. And I understand when my parents say that as Asians coming to this country and we're foreigners and we have been treated poorly in the past, that it might seem like the best option for us to assimilate and be extra welcoming to white people. That seems to be the stance that a lot of older creators, especially Korean creators, have on this app because they think that that's going to get us somewhere. When in reality, just a couple years ago, what did we see during COVID? Sujia's content exists as a very quick cathartic release for a lot of white people to see that, oh, as long as I'm not this type of white person, the one that goes into a restaurant and says my food is stinky or Asian food is stinky, or they go into a grocery store and start making fun of the labels, then I'm okay. I'm a clear, good white person. And what I don't understand is that in this apology, there's no mention of the consequences of her platform. She doesn't address the various videos that white people made in response to that incident, where they purposely went to H-Mart to make a nuisance of themselves and to invade a space that they previously had no interest in. She has no mention of that, even though there were thousands of comments and hundreds of videos made where white people did that. The disappointing part of this apology, in my opinion, is that she is still doubling down on her position. And so that's why when she says that I'm trying to learn and grow and issue this apology, I don't think you are. Because if you're going to say that I'm going to continue to make these type of contents and be a beacon for white people, like, oh, don't make fun of our food, but not understand the nuance of why we have cultural spaces in the beginning, why it's important to protect monolithic cultural spaces, that we don't always have to dilute it with foreigners, you won't take it one step further to understand why people will side-eye someone. You continue to preach that we should be accepting of people, like this eat, pray, love journey. You've learned nothing then. To start off this apology by saying that the internet lost the nuance of your take, the internet did not lose nuance of your take. In fact, they read it pretty well. We said that you had a white husband and Asian kids, and therefore you were biased as an older Korean woman and you wanted to promote assimilation. That is the read that most of the creators got on this app and stated very clearly. And you, in your response, are saying that I felt isolated as a kid growing up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, and you feel like this is what you want now. You want people to celebrate your culture. What nuance did we miss? Trying to hate on Sujia too much. I have enjoyed some of her content, but I'm just gonna say, you're a larger creator, you have impact on people, you took a video that was not viral, and you used it as part of your arsenal, where you continue to be the same beacon towards white people, even though you claim you're not white pandering, but realistically, I mean, if you show your demographic, I'm sure it's mostly white people. You want to stay in the same lane of creating content where white people will look for validation, look for other examples of bad white people, and that's fine. If that's how you want to continue in this space as a content creator, you'll continue to do it. But to issue an apology and say that you want to grow and learn and state no reasons of what you've learned or grown about this, and instead just give a strong defense of what you created that video, is very disappointing.
One of the things that I have thoroughly been enjoying is the Asian community holding their pygmies accountable. If you haven't been paying attention, there was an Asian creator here on this app that said that she gets uncomfortable when she sees white people in H-Mart. That video sparked so much discussion across the internet, and they have been going at it, guys. The conversation has ranged from how white people commodify their spaces for profit, how they don't respect their culture, etc., etc. I've just been sitting on the sidelines watching because I think this conversation is one that needs to be had. If you've been following this page for a while, then you probably saw the video where we talked about it a little bit when the Asian community helped overturn affirmative action. When I first made that video, that's when I noticed the people that were being used as shields for white people in that discussion, because a bunch of white people were tagging people like Sujia in order to be the mouthpiece against what I was saying. This conversation the Asian community is having is super important because Uncle Tom's hurt everyone and they're a part of every single community. That's how we get things like that ICE photo where they're unmasked and the majority of them are Latino. I hope this discussion continues because white supremacy hurts everyone.
I couldn't help but notice that a lot of large male creators that jumped to make fun of and harass DoorDash girls, that the subsect of them who are Asian men also jumped on and harassed Madeline. And what I find funny about this group's response to criticism is, oh, my bad, if they ever acknowledge it at all, and then to just continue to create content and fully ignore the damage that they have created. And I think that's because we let them. I mean, with the Sujia and Ed thing, how many of us have been going after Ed? Because I have a problem with both of them, but I've seen piece after piece after piece about Sujia. I haven't seen anyone dissecting Ed. And this isn't to defend Sujia, this is to defend Asian woman. Who is it that's in our comment section spamming Oxford study, Oxford study, Oxford study, dismissing everything that we have to say, whether or not we date white people, whether or not we date men? Because last I checked, it was racialized misogyny coming from both the white and Asian community that got a website put up where Asian women that were dating white men were getting doxxed and threats of violence. I just don't think screaming Oxford study at Sujia while ignoring Ed's existence makes sense as a response to when people were attacking Madeline with claims of Oxford study. We fully are capable of holding men accountable and to the same standard that we hold women to. And we can criticize women without using misogyny.
I love that black people are getting in Asian mess because I have been in Asian mess since I was 18 years old, okay? Because I went to Baruch, which has a lot of Asian people. It's basically UCLA East, if you understand that joke. That might be an Asian exclusive. I would say like 90% of my friends from college are some kind of Asian. East, South, Southeast, you know, fancy Asian, not fancy Asian, as they call it. And y'all, I be looking at black people like, you think we got diaspora wars? You wait till you be around enough Asian people. Like, to this day, the wildest niche Asian beef I have ever heard in my life is whatever the hell is going on with Fujianese people. Okay, it's like a province or like an ethnic group in China, and like I knew people who were Fujianese in college who were like, nah, don't spread that around. I was like, why? You don't want people to know you Fujianese? Like, I still don't understand. I still don't understand where that whole thing came from. But apparently, major sin. And like, if you see Miss Marvel, you may like begin to grasp the intricate details between India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. But baby, and then you get to India and it's like North versus South India in terms of like color and religion, and then it's the caste system. Baby, you meet you a Brahmin, like they be beefing with each other. I don't even know what be going on. I just be like, let me sit on the sideline. Like, I remember my friend, she was from I think she was Brahmin, and she was trying to date some dude that was from a lower caste, and baby. Okay. Then there's the whole no BMW thing, where it's like no black, Muslim, and white. That's a whole other ball of shit. Then I had to learn the word hakwai, because in case I ever came against somebody who called me a hakwai, because that's basically like, I think it's the Cantonese N-word or some shit. And then whatever going on between the East Asians and Southeast Asians is a whole thing. Then you got everybody's beef with Japan. Like, yeah, I'll let you look up, you know, what the fuck. Japan got like a good PR team, okay? And then you got like Chinese people be beefing with the Koreans. And that's a whole, I'll let y'all explain that, because that right there is a doozy of some shit that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. But y'all think, I've been looking at black people like, yeah, welcome, you know, to the Asian beefs and wars and, you know, the drama and the Pe0ple. And then when y'all get to the part versus like the, you know, the West Coast Asians versus the East Coast Asians, and the different shades of blonde. Yeah, that's
So I kept seeing videos of my people, hello, going on to Asian TikTok and looking at like all the drama going on. We're just like watching from the stands, on the sides. And I was just kind of like, oh, I want to see, like, I want to look at what's going on. So if you haven't been on Asian Talk yet or Asian TikTok, I highly recommend it because, like, literally everything that we have been experiencing and been voicing, they're going through the same exact thing. Which really at this point, it's not surprising because, like, I think every race has this colorism issue going on, and I think for them, if I'm not mistaken, like, East Asians look down on Southeast Asians. I believe that's right. If I'm incorrect, can someone of the Asian community please correct me and like let me know what the real thing is? Also found out that a lot of like Asian countries dislike Japan because of Japan's history of colonizing a whole bunch of other places and how they treated like Koreans and I think China as well. I already know that like they are kind of upset with the whole matcha thing, which I understand that too. So, but I can't like pinpoint all the details on that. But other than that, yeah, it's like literally everything that we've been saying, they're experiencing it. And I think now is like something that's actually being voiced and had a